Hello friends! In this video you will see how the actors of the Mummy series have changed. You will know their original name and age. I'll show you what they looked like back then and what happens to them now, in 2023. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go with adventurer Rick O'Connell to Hamunaptra to wake up Imhotep. Richard Rick O'Connell is the main character in the series The Mummy. He was an exiled officer, then became an explorer and led the excavation team searching for the holy part of ancient Egypt. Rick is a good fighter and uses many different weapons. He is also creative and daring in dealing with dangerous situations.
And his brain got put into a big tin can man, and then he woke up under the...
Rick is played by actor Brendan James Fraser. Evelyn Carnahan is a talented and passionate archaeologist in the movie The Mummy. She is invited to participate in the excavation of the tomb of the Egyptian Emperor Imhotep and is then drawn into an exciting adventure to solve an ancient mystery.
Some billionaires. It's in episode 2.
Evelyn is an intelligent and charming character who always tries to solve problems in a smart and bold way. Rachel Hannah Weisz portrays the role of Evelyn Carnahan. Anck-su-namun, Patricia Velásquez, is the secret lover of Imhotep and the mistress and bodyguard of Pharaoh Seti. Anck-su-namun had a deep rivalry with Princess Nefertiti. She kills the pharaoh and then herself at the beginning of The Mummy after her affair with Imhotep is exposed, and then waits for Imhotep to resurrect her so they can continue their relationship.
Then when they called me to do The Mummy 2, I said, you guys, we can't, it's not practical, we can't.
Anck-su-namun appears briefly in The Mummy, as she is undead like Imhotep, and she tries to kill Evelyn in order to become fully alive after her soul enters her decayed body. However, Jonathan takes command of the mummies of Seti's bodyguards and has them stab and hack Anck-su-namun to death in the climactic fight sequence. Ardeth Bey, Oded Fehr, is the chief of the Medjai, the Muslim descendants of the royal bodyguards. The Medjai are the pharaoh's sacred bodyguards, a group who have watched over and guarded Hamunaptra for centuries. They are sworn to do all in their power to prevent the resurrection of Imhotep. To this end, for over 3,000 years, the Medjai has silently guarded the decrepit city, either killing or scaring off all who found or approached it.
Oh my God, I'm standing in front of the bridge. It's amazing. It's so exciting.
Despite opposing the archaeologists as they begin digging, Ardeth Bey becomes an ally when it becomes apparent that they all must work together to stop Imhotep. Beni, Kevin J. O'Connor, was a Hungarian thief who enlisted in the French Foreign Legion and was part of the same unit as Rick O'Connell, which crossed Libya and Egypt to find Hamunaptra. During an overwhelming attack by an army of Tuareg nomads, he fled into the city and closed the entrance, making him the only one besides Rick to have survived the attack.
So I was forced to read it, and that's probably not the best way to go about it, but then I learned to really...
After Imhotep is sent back to the underworld, Beni accidentally sets off an ancient booby trap, trapping himself in the treasure room where a swarm of flesh-eating scarabs close in to devour him, thus becoming the last member of the American expedition to die. An aging, nostalgic British fighter pilot, Captain Winston Havelock, Bernard Fox, fought in World War I in the Royal Flying Corps and stayed on into peacetime with the Royal Air Force. Yearning for one more chance to act bravely in the face of danger, Havelock eagerly agrees to fly Rick and his crew to Hamunaptra in his great war vintage biplane when Rick says Winston probably will not live through it.
Was terrified of flying, and he's gripping the seat as we're going up, and his knuckles are white.
A cheerful "Here I come, laddies." Dr. Alan Chamberlain, Jonathan Hyde, is an Australian-British Egyptologist who travels with a trio of Americans, their guide, Beni, and a number of native diggers to reach Hamunaptra. Although he was more than reluctant to open the chest containing the Book of the Dead, he did so anyway and was thus subject to the curse that entailed.
He needs a new assistant, and I think...
Once Evelyn had mistakenly called Imhotep back to life, he screamed out against it as it would put his and the Americans' cursed lives at risk, but it was too late. He was the second member of the American expedition to die. Dr. Terence Erick Avari, was an Egyptologist, the curator of the Cairo Museum of Antiquities, and a member of a secret society sworn to prevent priest Imhotep from being resurrected. He is first seen as a kind of supervisor to Evelyn in her librarian days.
What did he look like?
Is he a member of Sanhedrin?
Later, Evelyn, Rick, and Jonathan found he was working with Ardeth to prevent the resurrection of priest Imhotep. When Rick's crew is cornered by Imhotep, he sacrificed himself so that Rick, Ardeth, and Jonathan would be able to escape in order to find and save Evelyn and kill Imhotep. A stereotypical American cowboy, Isaac Henderson, Stephen Dunham, was one of the treasure hunters that made his way to the city of the dead in search of treasure. His appearance was further emphasized by wielding a Colt single-action army revolver and the habit of quick-drawing the weapon. Henderson was one of those present when the chest containing the Book of the Dead was opened, and because of this was a victim of the curse that sealed it. He escaped Hamunaptra with the others to Cairo, but later, while guarding Evelyn's room, was attacked and drained of body fluids by Imhotep. He was the third of the Americans to die.
20, 30, 25, deal.
Hassan, Omid Djalili, was the warden of Cairo prison, where Rick O'Connell was to be hanged. He was bribed by Evie and Jonathan to release O'Connell with 25% of the profits from the Hamunaptra expedition. He comes along on the expedition with the intent to protect his investment.
It's a cause of national disgrace. For the British, it is an excuse.
In the ruins, he comes across a mural with what looks like jewels carved into the shape of scarabs. In his preoccupation with prying off the jewels, he fails to notice that one slips from his pouch and falls to the floor. The jewel cracks open to reveal a scarab beetle that burrows into his shoe and foot and crawls under his skin and up his body as he screams in horror. Hassan tears open his jumper to stop the bug, but he fails and the beetle goes into his brain. Shrieking in agony, he sprints off and runs into a solid rock wall, dying instantly. A bespectacled American adventurer, Bernard Burns, T.U.C. Watkins, was one of the treasure hunters that made his way to the city of the dead in search of treasure. Despite his bookwormish appearance, Burns was a skilled gunfighter with an M1911 pistol. He was present when the chest containing the Book of the Dead was opened, and because of this was a victim of the curse that sealed it. He was the first of the Americans to die.
Brom and I played the gay couple on Desperate Housewives. It is about the same time.
Canopic jar that was in Burns' possession, but with the intent to finish consummating the curse, killing Burns. He was the first of the Americans to die. Imhotep was the high priest of Osiris under the rule of Pharaoh Seti I. He began an affair with Seti's mistress Anck-su-namun, and they assassinate the pharaoh when he discovers it. They are discovered and Anck-su-namun commits suicide, intending that Imhotep resurrect her. He and his priests later steal her corpse from her burial place. Imhotep attempts to resurrect Anck-su-namun, but is captured at Hamunaptra, the city of the dead, by the Medjai, the pharaoh's sacred bodyguards.
It was a play that actually was transplanted here from the Market Theatre.
His priests are mummified and buried alive. Imhotep, meanwhile, is condemned to endure the curse of the Hamdai. The ritual involves cutting out his tongue, mummifying him alive, and sealing him in a sarcophagus filled with carnivorous scarab beetles. The curse transforms Imhotep into an undead fiend kept in a state of living death, with the intention that he would suffer being eaten alive by the scarabs for all time. If revived, he would gain control over sand and other elements, together with being virtually invincible. Jonathan Carnahan is the older brother of Evelyn Carnahan's character in The Mummy. He is a humorous character and always wants to make money by any means, not afraid to be attracted by dangerous tributaries. In movies, he often acts as the comic relief character. Jonathan Carnahan is played by actor John Hannah. Welcome to Huda Channel on YouTube, the place where we compile the most famous Hollywood actors in the movies. We are delighted to share with you interesting changes of movie stars from the time they started in the movie until now. With our passion for movies, we hope that our videos will help you understand more about your favorite actors and the movies they have participated in. Let's explore the very interesting changes over time of Hollywood stars with Huda Channel.